evening to everybody world over, all our brothers and sisters across the globe in different countries, in different continents, in different time zones, in different arena, in different wellness conditions, wherever you are, think positive, talk positive, live positive, be happy. Whatsoever God is giving us and the way He is keeping us, uska shukr manana chahiye. Once you keep a hand over here, if something is coming out and something is going in, you should be thankful because at least that's on. So it means things are on. So today is 1255th webinar. That means 1254 webinars we have already done during the pandemic, and more than 10,000 speakers and confluence of people from the world over, and more than 1 lakh people have joined us in this wonderful journey where all the brothers and sisters across the globe, they have been the part of it. Every Friday evening with Colonel Casey Mannon, who is our senior advisor for the chamber, we go across to women empowerment. If India has to become 5 trillion economy, it's not possible without women empowerment. Nothing is possible without women empowerment. If women are with us and if they give the support and if they walk and keep the pace with us, the world will be a better place and you will see leaps and bounds. There'll be progress and recovery post-pandemic. So ladies and gentlemen, making tourism gender responsive and the child-friendly women empowerment webinar series, Friday, 22nd October 2021 in India. Now it should be approximately 2 to 3 minutes past 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. We extend a very hearty welcome to Madam Bhavani Arun ji, the General Manager FCM Travel Solutions, and Madam Joyatri Ray, Director Equations, Equitable Tourism Options. What a pleasure to have both the ladies. We extend her a very warm welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, we all should celebrate and congratulate because India has yesterday completed 1 billion vaccines. Wow. The first country, can you imagine 1/7 almost the population of the world that is on this planet and 1 billion doses in 275 days. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. It's something commendable which has been done by India. I think you all the people, those are associated with this directly or indirectly under the dynamic and dedicated leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, you all deserve a big pat and a big congratulations. Our chamber from world over 149 countries where our brothers and sisters, Indian diaspora, 31.4 million, we send our best wishes to everyone in India. May you stay safe and no more waves, wave, all vanish, gone. Let's recover, repackage, rethink, refurbish, and redesign, and everything we are going to package it once again. And of course, tourism was the first bird to be hit because we are so fragile, but it's going to be the last to be opened as far as reaching the last mile. But once it bounces back, it's going to bring, because everybody wants to travel. People, they have been so cooperative, confined themselves in their respective homes for 1.5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, doctors, nurses, paramedical people, great warriors. And our deep condolences, more than 700 doctors, they lost their life in India during this pandemic while treating others and giving life and breath to others. At the same time, when we got closer to UNESCO and United Nations, we learned as a chamber that 1.65 billion children away from schools, colleges, universities. So we wanted to make education relevant, and thereby we had gone. Our focus is service industry and services with the technology, digital technology, the future roadmap. All of us, we are drawing together. We are thankful to Colonel Casey Mannon in India the regional advisor, Southern India. And he is a person during this pandemic. He has done a remarkable work. All the women empowerment, the young boys and girls, and at the same time the ladies, everybody he brought together common on the platform. Women empowerment is very important. If India has to become 5 trillion economy, all of us, we got to realize, because ladies play very important role. Their mother, their sister, their wife, their daughter-in-law, their teacher, their counselor, their principal, their educators, they play very important role for us. Education is incomplete without skills, and education and skills are incomplete without outcome of that, and that is accountable outcome. Am I going to become startup or entrepreneur or employment or self-employed? So during this pandemic, our chamber, we focused on teachers and youth throughout. 1994, when the chamber was set up, I still recall the exclusive chamber for service industry in India, where the etiquettes, manner, gesture, body language, personality, communication, critical thinking, analytical thinking, logical thinking, every child futuristic thinking, and talent management. When we had been talking about in education, there should be music, humor, fun, dance, happiness, passion, stimulation, and storytelling. Wow. Nani ki kahaniyan, dadi ki kahaniyan, all that we have been bringing. So the finishing school, which we brought in 1994, we are happy to share this evening, 52,000 students have got complementary education in the last 27 years. And now the finishing school has become e-Gurukul post-pandemic, the new order of the world, and e-Gurukul for service industry. And initially we are focusing on tourism and entertainment industry together. It's a global collaboration. You can meet, greet, treat. You can have the world inputs coming in the various form from the world over. All the countries we are getting together. So if you're keen to get, everything is free, free, free. No money. No teacher will get any money. No educator will get any money. And there's no formal teacher. Anybody who is in industry, who is a corporate, is a teacher, is a trainer, is a counselor, is a motivator, is an inspirational speaker, is a lifetime coach. That's the way we have to look at education. We got to repackage education, no formal way. It's basically knowledge, confluence, expertise, getting in one podlock. So if you're keen, come on the ICSI India.in web portal. There is a register now. If you are between 14 to 28 years of age, you can be right over there, and you enjoy e-Gurukul, music, dance, games, happiness, humor, fun, creativity, curiosity, storytelling, stimulation, following passion, talent, stress-free, technology, vocational skills, and nature-based confluence. Why education is not relevant to my day-to-day life? Why are you teaching me which is not going to be utilized in my life? Please. And my mental wellness is more important than anything else. I want to be physically fine. I want to be mentally fine. And I want to be economically fine. During this entire pandemic, we have done 76 webinars for you exclusively Ayurveda for the global wellness. And every Saturday, tomorrow evening, we all will be meeting in the northeast part of India. 8 beautiful states what we have got in northeast: Arunachal, Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya, Sikkim. So tomorrow we would be going with Mr. Tyrone and Mr. Mark, all the way focus youth empowerment. Sunday morning, 9:30, you will be going to California, United States, Professor Satinder Dhiman, 7 habits of highly fulfilled people. Don't miss this series. Within 3 Sundays, he's covering the entire book and he's going to discuss with us. And you are going to be totally a different person. 7 habits of highly fulfilled people. And this is called spirituality at the workplace. Wow. And we are also bringing services exports, education and skill sectors, services export. If you want to go on a short-term assignment abroad, how to go, what is services export, We will be discussing all of us together. We will plan it. We will take it. So B2B is no more business to business, at least for the time being. It's back to basics, basic food, basic health, basic education, earn and learn. And whatever human mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, let's come together. And ladies and gentlemen, join me in extending a very, very warm welcome to both the ladies who are joining us through the lens and the prism of Colonel K.C. Menon. We have been joined by Madam Bhavani ji and Madam Ray. We extend them a very warm welcome. And I would request Madam Bhavani to take on the floor. Today, the subject is very interesting, very, very innovative when we are talking about making tourism gender sensitive, and also how should we make it child friendly, children friendly. Everybody should enjoy. Both the ladies enjoy more than 2 decades of wonderful experience with the travel and tourism, holiday and leisure tourism. And I feel very, very happy that in the 70s, when I didn't want to study and I went to a university per force, and I asked the professor, is there any subject where you have not to study? And he laughed, he looked at me and he told, there's one subject, holiday and leisure tourism, because it's a part of life. It's not a subject. It's your lifestyle. It's your living. It's your holidays. It's your happiness. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's extend a very warm welcome to Bhavani ma'am and Ray ma'am. And I would request Bhavani ma'am, let's initiate the discussion with you, and then we go on to Joyatri ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Gulshan, Sharma. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And it's a splendid work that you all have been doing and consistently doing. So really happy to be in such a forum wherein you have put emphasis on the youth and the development for youth. And definitely they are the way future, or I mean, they are our future, and India is much more youthful, and no other better platform to inculcate the right aspects of life and in career. So thank you for doing such a fabulous work, and we look forward to seeing more of it in the coming days. Okay, so I'm Bhavani, and with me is Joyatri. We both are here to discuss on few things, which is just not about women empowerment, but overall how the tourism industry should be gender responsive and make it child friendly. So before getting into that, just some basic facts, which I have gathered from the UN WTO, that is the United World Travel and tourism related one. So it was quite surprising, because normally we see that, or we've heard people saying that there are very few opportunities given for women, and we need a lot of push to go forward. But I'm so glad I'm part of an industry which has been providing equal opportunity to women. And the statistics or the data, if I look back in 2010, it was just about 46% of women were in the tourism sector. Now, pre-COVID, I'm just taking the numbers pre-COVID, which is 2019, the percentage is about 54% of the people working in the tourism are women. So if you, which is good when you compare to the other broader economy, which is just about 39% in other sectors. So it's a very motivating and a happy factor for me to be a part of an industry which is given this opportunity to the women equally and a little more. And even the wages, there is a disparity in the wage structure. Most of the time, we feel that men are paid more or higher and the women get a little lower. So when we see in the tourism industry for women, the disparity is, the percentage is very low. I mean, when compared to the normal other economies, it's 19% is the difference. Whereas for women in the tourism industry, it's just about 14.7%, which is still healthy, right? And the ministers globally, if you look at the more tourism ministers who are female, which is 23%, as compared to 20.7% in the other sectors in the ministries. So if you see that the tourism has been very supportive, and I think it comes naturally to all the women in planning and executing things and being very mindful in that, because by nature we are very hospitable. So I think that adds to the thing and the flair that we have, because we can do a little bit of more multitasking and keeping a lot of things in mind. So that is how tourism sector has been for the women. And I'm expecting it to grow even better. There are statistics which show that though tourism industry contributes to the GDP globally, also about it is about 10% to the global economy thing, and by 2030. From whatever the predictions are or the data, they're saying that it'll grow up to about 15% higher, and being one of the largest industry to provide employment opportunities. So if at 2019, 54% is women force, I'm expecting these numbers to gradually go up by 2030 as well, and you would see more of women. And I've seen that change already. If you see women who we have not traditionally, we were just handling jobs in the tourism sectors which were more of in the reception or welcoming and those kind of categories. But now we see women taking up roles as challenging as it could be as a tour director, it could be a tour manager, which was traditionally a male dominated role. But I don't think so that is the case now. We are there in every segment, every sector. You see people leading. There are great chain of hotels globally which have women as their directors, running them successfully. If these are the data and the facts that you've seen. And even in our organizations, in my own organization and a lot of other organizations, they give equal opportunities for women. They come up with platforms or forums which will empower women. They've set up special divisions which could even help women to upskill and train themselves, because that is the most important thing, right? It is just not because of the gender we get the opportunity, but one should be prepared and able enough to handle the opportunities that are coming. And that's possible only when we upskill and prepare ourselves and gradually learn and imply them, right? So that is where the importance is, and the opportunities are being given in training segments. It could be destinations, it could be on personality development, it could be on leadership roles as well. So a lot of companies in the tourism industry are coming up with such opportunities, even helping women who are really keen and have the zeal, zest to go forward. They do give them that push and that extra nudge that is needed, because sometimes external force or an external motivation works better than what one would want to do. So these are the things that are coming up, and it's a forum. And this industry also has a lot of women entrepreneurs, because tourism as such, I think Dr. Gulshan just jokingly said that, he didn't wanted to study, so they gave an option of travel and tourism. But if I look at it, yes, it is something that you're passionate about. We are realizing
it's all
yes,
practical. It's all
practical.
part of life.
Yes.
And tourism being a passport to peace.
Correct. And it's also helping people realize their dreams. So
Yeah.
if you have that empathetic nature, if you're passionate about what you're doing and the passion to carry forward, that's when you will be able to enjoy the role. And we have seen that a lot of women are into the entrepreneurship journey, and specifically in tourism related and travel, there are quite a number of women who are successfully running their businesses as entrepreneur. Uh, and they have even shown the way forward for others, coming up with newer concept, different concept, like solo women travel. It could be just group of senior citizens. So these are all led by women who have come up with different and innovative thoughts and ideas in the tourism, sustainable tourism, culinary tourism, again specific for home food and all of this involved. So there are a lot of opportunities that are come up, and women are making the best out of it. So if there are students who are watching and if you feel that what's the way forward, please be rest assured there are plenty and more opportunities that are coming up and opening. The world is just opening slowly, and we are widening our wings, but in a much more sensible and a mindful way. So that is what has evolved. So I think that is the way forward for us. Now over to Joyatri. She would talk to us a little more in detail. Over to you, Joyatri.
You have to unmute your mic, ma'am. You have to unmute your mic. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I'm so sorry. I keep doing this.
No.
Good
Please
evening. Good evening, good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. It's a great pleasure. Let me start by that, and to share our thoughts on the topic with such a forum. I was just by listening to you, I can figure out the kind of extent, the kind of work that you have done, and the way forward that you are taking it through. Let me first take a minute to introduce my organization, and then I will get into my presentation. I will try and share my screen for a bit.
Yes, we have got rethink tourism.
Yes. So this is what is our motto, that we do this. I'm just going to go and do this something which is. Can you see my screen? Is it
yes,
okay?
We can see, but yeah, now it's better.
It's better?
It was better. You can again, ma'am, you have to just increase the size, and that's everything is fine. Yes, it's perfectly fine. Please go ahead.
Okay, so we are an organization, we are a research campaign advocacy organization based in India. We are called as Equitable Tourism Options. We started our functioning in 1985. The whole idea about the organization is to promote sustainable tourism from a point of view of socio-economic, as well as heritage, culture. So all of that together. The way we work is that we believe that, as you all will agree with me, that sustainable tourism is a whole gamut of things together. It is not one or the other. So we work on a whole lot of verticals, a whole lot of thematics, which starts from environment to looking at forest dwelling communities, indigenous people, coastal communities, mountain communities, and the entire range of people, those who forms the kind of experience that a tourist has. So we believe that when somebody goes to a place, it's not only the product, not only the place, not only the heritage, not only the cuisine, not only the what do you call the beaches or the mountains, but it's also the people who actually are interacting with you, which, because the guides, those local traders, your train journey, your flight journey, your airport experience, everything forms part of your tourism experience. So when you go back, you don't only talk about what you have seen, but you also talk about how you were treated. So it's an entire experience that you carry, and that's why we work on the entire ecosystem of tourism. And we work with different groups of people, because as we heard just a few minutes back, when Dr. Sharma was saying that it's all of us together in this journey. You have governments, we have academicians and teaching institutes, we have tourist communities, as well as tourism industry. Now, without this whole lot of people that we're talking about, we may not be able to achieve what we're talking about, sustainable tourism. Now, coming to the
ma'am, you got to get back your screen again, please.
Yeah, I will come back to that. I think I will speak and then I have a mixed presentation of no, that's okay. I have a mixed presentation
I just thought that we have lost your wonderful slides and the treasure. Okay.
No, I have a mixed presentation.
Sure.
So we are quite touched that we are talking about this rethinking. We're rethinking about tourism, as you said in your last few minutes of your opening remark, Dr. Sharma, that you said that we are actually rethinking, rebooting tourism, restarting it. So we think that this COVID somehow has given a pause to this whole thing, and say that, can you think together, good, bad, and ugly? That I think history will be deciding whether what we are doing now, whether that was something good, bad, or it has been extremely impactful. But one thing we see with this mobility of mobility guidelines being flexible, skies opening up, visa being worked out now with the countries, we see that women as a solo travelers are making a trend now. It's a trend about women, about solo travelers. It's a trend about looking at single traveling. And I think there's a difference between the two, but we see that it's quite a in thing now. Just to give you some data, the Adventure Travel Report said that over 85% of solo travelers are actually women. Forbes said that in 2020 report that 80% of all travel decisions are made by women, regardless of who they travel with, who pays for the trip, or where they go. 75% of those who take cultural adventure or nature trips are actually women. There has been a 230% increase in the number of women-only travel companies in past 6 years, which is huge, which is just huge. I think it is connecting with what Bhavani was talking about. And an increasing portion of solo female travelers are also baby boomers and single mothers. With 67 million participants, the potential of women's market exceeds by $19 trillion annually. So, and this is a new reality, kind of a comparatively new reality, I would say, which the travel industry is just waking up to it. And trying to talk about what is the need. And we have figured out that women travel differently than men do. Their needs are different. Their decisions are primarily based on safety and security in a tourism destination. The first choice when they're identifying a place, they first look at what the facilities are, how safe the place is. That is what becomes a core area of consideration when they're choosing a place over identifying a place to visit. So women, particularly either traveling solo or a group, feel unsafe. When do they feel unsafe? After dark, due to feeble presence of women workforce in and around the tourist destination. It could be unavailability of public toilets, lack of street lighting, public places and spaces like park, market areas, lack of information and support services for women adapt to the situation. Sometimes the location of public places like railway station, bus stops, the other local transportations are often located distantly and in unfriendly places. And then there is a extent of prejudicial behavior of locals while commuting. This can instill a sense of insecurity. In such conditions, is enough to deepen this perception of fear and violence. So this is what we are trying to address as we say that how do we make sure that women feel safe being part of the workforce, being part of as a traveler, and just by a resident of a place which is tourism destination. The experience of a tourist and a perception of the place, it starts forming. Tourism is not an isolated experience, and it is rooted in the country context and the overall socio-cultural political aspect. So to make tourism women and child safe destination, it is rooted in the overall context of women and children in the country. And that's why it is important to look at it from a perspective of what has happened in the country context, where the country is able to say that we are safe for women and children. How is country treating women? What kind of policies do they have? What are they working on? And connecting that experience with what is happening in the tourism development, because this tourism is not an isolated industry. It is the experience of a tourist is within this parameters, within this context of the country that the person is visiting, within that locale. The concept of ethics is not a new dimension. It is a it is surfaced with much thrust in this pandemic. But if you look at it in a consultation with the private sector, labor organizations, 70 UNWTO member states, UNWTO adopted the code, the global code in December 2021, which is exactly 20 years from now. Back, they have actually come up with this code of ethics, which basically spoke about what would be those 12-point agendas. What are those 12? Article 2, it's very important for our discussion today. It highlights that tourism as a vehicle for individual and collective fulfillment. In its subsection, it highlights that tourism activities should respect the qualities on the most vulnerable groups, notably children, the elderly, the handicapped, ethnic minorities, and the indigenous people. To prevent using tourism services, infrastructure and facilities being used for such purposes, tourism industry, tourism ministry, and the other line ministries need to join hands to develop an enabling environment for all women and children. Tourist women, youth who are engaged in these tourism activities as entrepreneurs and workers, women and children who are not directly engaged in tourism, but a recipient of this development as residents of these tourism locations. So how do we integrate this? So to integrate women and child safe measures in the tourism planning, operations, and practices, the interventions need to be focused on source, transit, and destination. What I mean by source is the origin. From the time one starts to plan and finally the destination. From the time of deciding where to go, how to go, what kind of comparative pricing that you're looking at for the transportation or for accommodation. Each of these are tourism services, and each of these access points could be seen as intervention points to make sure that women are integrated with the services. Entrepreneurs was also a part of a decision-making space. How do we make sure that the entire unorganized sector, which is characterized by so many women, can also form part of these decision-making spaces, because they also form part of the tourism experience. So it is not only about the formal sector women, it is also about the unorganized sector. How do we do? How do we integrate them into a decision-making space? How do we make sure? How do we give them the confidence that they're also tourism workers? And they have this kind of benefits that a formal tourism industry women may get. How do we look at equity in this whole process of women's empowerment and women's involvement in tourism? There are several, if I come to India, there are several existing initiatives by Government of India to make tourism safe for women and children. One of it is that the Indian Ministry of Tourism, recognizing the importance of promoting responsible tourism in India, in collaboration with UN ODC, PATA, Save the Children, and Equations, developed a code of conduct for safe and honorable tourism in 2010. All tourism service providers who are recognized and registered by the MOT are asked to implement this code. One of its sections highlights the need for developing and implementing a child protection policy, training staff on child protection, to putting mechanisms in place and to address child sexual exploitation. It also highlights the implementation of POSH, which is an act that India has to address workspace sexual harassment of women. Now, while we're talking this, I would also like to say that I would like to highlight that the point of invisibility of women in tourism that often makes women feel unsafe in a destination. Now, why I say this is, if you look at a tourism destination, whenever we're talking about women, we talk about women in a very what do you call, in a homogeneous term. But when we talk about women in a tourism destination, it is actually a extremely category-wise understanding has to be looked at. Otherwise, we are making a mistake of making all women put together. There are different levels of women. There are different qualifications, different skills, there are different experiences, and there are different skill sets which they're using to be involved in a tourism industry. So if you look at that way, I think it's important to encourage women entrepreneurs. The ease of running business by women, having women in a decision-making position, demonstrated leadership by women, are certain ethical consideration that needs to be integrated while planning and implementing tourism development. Having women's voices in the conceptualizing, planning, and implementing tourism is another consideration that would engender tourism facilities and services to make tourism destination safe for women. Now, when we are talking about women's empowerment, it's important to also look at women's empowerment and women's ability to be in a sector like tourism also depends on certain facilities that is given by the tourism industry or the tourism service providers. For example, if today a woman is working from or having a double shift or a long working hour, it is important to have a creche. Without taking care of, because this is something that we bear. This is a responsibility that we are, that we have. So can we have a creche? Can we have a facility which is actually enables? Because this actually there are studies which shows that there have been productivity increase multifold because the women team member knows that my child is just next door and in a very safe space. Similarly, looking at what can we do for our unorganized sector when they are employed. Can we look at training of POSH for all the people, all the staff? It's a very, very important piece of legislation that I think it should be integrated with the training as well as this induction process. Can we make sure that we actually have proper proper banners or proper information channels which says our commitment to the women's empowerment in various forums. Now, I would like to focus a little bit on the child protection now. And for that, I would like to show you a little video, a very small video, which is for 3 minutes. And then I will talk about it a little bit. I'll try to project it and see what happens really.
Technology always takes its own sweet time because digital technology particularly, and there are lots of challenges, and thereby we don't require physical infrastructures, we require digital infrastructures. We require digital highways, we require better bandwidth, we require easy way of edtech platforms or apps and digital handling so that everything becomes user-friendly by the click of the button. It will take some time. Let's remember to 25th of March 2020. Everybody was telling, hey, where is Zoom? Where is my PPT? Where do I go? How do I switch it on? And parents asking their children and children saying, Mom, just wait, I'm coming. I will just switch it on for you. And that's the way. And then finally you say, oh, beta, thank you very much. You have been so kind. That's the way it was.
I know.
Lovely.
I know.
Yes, please go ahead, ma'am.
So I'll just show a little, I thought that it would be a monotonous thing to just talk about it. Maybe a little bit of a video would also convey the message that we're trying to.
My first customer was a tourist named Robert.
Can
he
you
told
hear?
Me that if there was anything I needed
yes,
or wanted, buy for me. I said, okay. Later on, I went out with Japanese and Korean men.
The sexual exploitation of children in travel and tourism has dramatically expanded across the globe. The huge growth in international and domestic travel has increased both the number of travelers and tourists and the number of children vulnerable to sexual exploitation.
From my very first memories, I remember being sexually molested and raped by truck drivers. I grew up along the interstate that goes all across the United States, and there were truckers all along it.
And the spread of the internet and mobile technology has made virtually no place out of the reach of the predators of this heinous crime. Any child can become a victim, but children who become vulnerable are likely to be forced into prostitution at travel and tourist hubs.
I went to where all the gay bars are in Pattaya. Foreigners would chat with me, buy me drinks, and then take me somewhere for business.
I was given drugs or forced to drink, and I was taken to the truck stop.
They are contacted and groomed by pimps or perpetrators, either in person or via the internet. They may even be trafficked by family members.
The way it was all presented to me was only special little girls get to go to adult parties, have sex, like big girls. And so I just thought this is what happened.
There is no such thing as a typical child sex offender, although they are usually male. Some may be pedophiles, but most are not. They may be foreign or domestic, young or old. They are from all over the world. They sexually abuse children because they think they can get away with it.
There's very much this sense of nothing's going to happen to me. I believe there's a sense of entitlement. There's a sense of a right to it.
Many victims are too afraid or ashamed to speak up about being abused, and witnesses seldom report, creating a sense of freedom from any legal repercussions in the minds of the offenders. And gaps and conflicts in law enforcement leave exploited children betrayed by the world as the offenders walk away from their crimes, searching for the next child to violate. The impact of sexual exploitation on a child cannot be overstated. For victims, the legacy can include severe and lifelong physical, emotional, and psychological damage.
I don't like what happened to me, and I don't want to remember it. I want other children who have been victims or will become one to know my story and learn from it.
As our world becomes smaller through increased travel and the internet, we all have a role to play. Governments, organizations, law enforcement, as well as you and me, in protecting children from this horrific abuse by travelers and tourists.
It takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to abuse a child. So much of this happens in public spaces, and that's really what it takes. Speaking up. We all have that voice, and we can use our voices.
Patiently watching this. This is a reality not only in, we see it everywhere. And this is something that is quite a knee-jerk experience. So what I want to talk about right now is what is the various mechanisms that we have. I just wanted to talk a little bit of one case that is there on the public domain, and if you just search on this, you will find out that what the kind of cases that we are facing in India. Just to highlight one case of a Swiss couple who was arrested of sexually abusing children in Mumbai in a 5-star hotel in 2007. And the couple was charged with kidnapping and procuring children for sexual purposes, as well as production of online child abuse materials. This case was investigated by local Swiss police that provided additional evidence gathered from the couple's residence. The couple was convicted and sentenced for 7 years, but the Bombay High Court released them after they served half the sentence. The important fact here is that the couple left the country. The hotel that checked in the couple with the unrelated children without having conducted necessary checks was not liable. Now, if you talk about today, since 2007, India has come a long way, and the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012 has changed the legal landscape quite a bit. There are stringent provisions that ensure that child sexual exploitation is recognized and dealt with seriousness. But if you look at there was also a second case I would like to highlight, which was in West Bengal. And 6 girls were rescued from one of the hotels. The lodge was operating with no protection policies in place, and some members of the staff accepted bribes in exchange of offender secrecy. The committee members were aware, and they promptly responded together with the police. The girls were rescued, providing them with ongoing support and arresting of the offenders. Here again, the hotel was not really liable. Now, what I'm trying to convey here is that the hotel or the tourism infrastructure is not promoting sexual exploitation of children, because they're aware that this is against the law. But the perpetrators who are coming in the name of travelers, they are always exploiting the space which is created for tourism, and thus there's a need for the tourism industry to act, to be aware of it. So if you look at it, tourism industry already have a mechanism which is called the code, which is basically, it says that which actually involves the private sector in combating the sexual exploitation of on children. And it is that should include not only the multinational companies, but also the small and medium businesses and individuals involved in tourism. Collaboration that you see here is that it is a code which is done by the UNWTO and by the tourism industry together. So it is an industry-led mechanism. The code and industry-led mechanism that works with companies, government, and NGOs to guide and support companies to protect children in travel and tourism. It also, the sexual offenders, it prevents tourism facilities and services to be used, or rather, misused by the sexual offender. The tourism industry is not itself a cause of sexual exploitation of children, but we need to take proactive steps. The code has been in existence for more than 25 years. And it is now working across the globe with multiple partners at all levels. It has over 350 members from diverse backgrounds. And I just wanted to show you a little bit about the code, what is the code saying in terms of what kind of a criteria does this code have, so that you can have also a look at it. And maybe that would also be something that would help in while we are working on this sector. Can you see my slide?
Yes, please.
Yes. Yeah. So the code has 6 criteria. It basically says that if you to be proactive and have a policy and the procedures against sexual exploitation of children. It talks about that having a clause in the contracts throughout the value chain, setting a common reputation and zero tolerance policy of sexual exploitation of children. It talks about supportive and collaborative role of various stakeholders to prevent it. Train employees so that they can identify, they can report, and they can act on it. Provide information to travelers on child rights and prevention of sexual exploitation of children. And it talks about annual reporting. Now, these are 6 criteria to look at it from the perspective of that the facilities and the services which has been established and promoted for a purpose of tourism, which is a very, 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 very inherent human nature, should not be misused by the perpetrators of a child sex. So that is the whole purpose of this code. And this code is allows you also to be. We have already 350 members across the globe. That's where it is. As part of this work equations is also the code representative in India. We train the global chains as well on looking at how would you work, how would you act on it. And what we want to say by as an ending of this whole conversation is that to be a responsible tourism brand, to be a responsible tourism business, and to have a tourism which is sustainable, it is important that we look at women's empowerment and child protection as an integrate part of sustainable tourism goals. It is a business imperative, because if there's one bad name it takes longer to actually mitigate it. But if we have a protection policy, if we have a preventive mechanism which will enable us to actually brand our services and our facilities as a child-friendly, women-friendly, women sensitive business enterprise. So I will stop here, and if the time permits later, I would like to show another video which talks about what can you do as part of your industry operations. Thank you very much.
Bhavani ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Joyatri. Yes, this little bit of knowledge that we wanted to share and let people know. But considering that this is not something that happens every time, but as an individual from the tourism industry, as a person, we should all know about certain things. Most of the times people don't know how to go about if they come across any such unforeseen incidences which are really not pleasant. So if you come across anything of that, there are authorities, there are people that you can reach out. So keep that in mind. But on a note that tourism is bouncing back and we all look forward to empowering each one of us and moving way forward, we need to support and sustain sustainability is the way forward. Like I said earlier, also being mindful. Even the travelers have to be very mindful in their holidays and the way that we are planning our holidays. It has to be in a very mindful way, that we think about the place that you're going. We are mindful about the culture, the people around, and the services that we would be using. We need to be mindful about it and take sustainable tourism as way forward, right? So that is the thing that we were looking at. And for all the women, upskilling, learn the required skill sets that are needed, uh, take the opportunities that are coming in your way. If you're too keen, and if you feel that maybe a vertical growth or in the organization is something that you have been wanting to do, I think nobody can empower us but ourselves. I strongly believe in that the empowerment happens from within. If we choose to empower ourselves and follow the path and the journey that we want to go ahead, I don't think so anything's going to stop us from doing that. So upskill yourself, learn the required skill sets. If you want to grow in the career ladder, it could be being a CEO of tomorrow of a leading travel company, but there are certain skill sets that are required. There are some leadership qualities that are required. How empathetic, how emotionally well you are, like the emotional intelligence quotient as a leader should also be there for all the women. Be mindful. Let's not be very gender biased. If I may allow to say that, being very gender responsive and equity among all is more important. As a person, personally, I feel that equity among all is very much needed. Over to you, Dr. Sharma, if there's anything else that you would want to add, or if there are any questions for us.
Madam Ray wanted to say something. Na? She asked you.
Yes, please go ahead, Joyatri.
Can I just say a few things? I would like to say that while I state what I have just stated, I would like to also say that tourism is a very innate human behavior. We all like to travel and we all like to explore. And that is something nobody can take it from us. We are explorers. We would like to go, like to meet, like to be with people. This is a smallest 1% of the industry or 1% of the travelers who are creating this havoc. It is not all. It was 99% are good. That is what we have tourism. And 99% forms the image of tourism as well. So this whole aspect of putting it together as a learning session today is that 1%, it is like a sack of apple. So can we take that little bit of the small pie out of this 99 whole? That is really what we want. To say that, if you look at today, I will just give an small example of Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh. What is happening there in terms of women empowerment there? It's a very interesting story. Uh, Women in the COVID time figured out that they did not have much options because they were selling bangles and trinkets, and they were selling some of the handicraft materials, and so that was only in terms of sales. So they went and approached those small tourism enterprises that was there, small hotel chains that was there. Those were serving domestic tourists. They negotiated that if you give us a job, or if you take vegetables from us, if you have a space created for us where we can sell our products to the tourists, we were willing to share our profit with you. These are women in unorganized sector, and the value in this, because they were looking at from a point of view of highlighting or showcasing the local products, showcasing the local handicrafts, what is there. Though there were domestic tourists, we were coming from West Bengal, we're coming from, so when we found that they're selling something of Madhya Pradesh, very, very unique of that place, we figured we also went and bought it. So now there is a small supply value chain which is actually integrated with the local economy. And that's what really tourism does, that how they bring in this together. So I would like to really say that to look at it from a perspective of tourism is something that is so special to us as we as human being, we as industry. So are all integral part of it because they forms part of the larger community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. So,
Over
ladies
to
and
you,
gentlemen,
Dr. Sharma.
thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. It was a wonderful views, valuable inputs, right? We started from the stats and we had gone how much is the employment generation, how much is the GDP contribution, the inbound tourism, the outbound tourism, and the multiplier to the tourism. And then something very interesting both the ladies have given us. Let us make tourism democratic, equitable, sustainable, ethical tourism, rethinking tourism, repackaging tourism, rebooting tourism, whatever we can think of, that is there, fine. And something very interesting which has emerged over there, women as a solo traveler. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we close today's session, some odd incidents keep taking place from time to time. We got to be careful about it. We got to be watchful about it. But at the same time, the show goes on, the world goes on, the things goes on. We got to move on and we got to be alert, agile, and all the times we got to be careful how we are going ahead. But something very interesting I would like to share with all of you. Do you remember the year 2011? I've got 1 more minute left over. 2011, if you remember, there was a beautiful movie called Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. SOTC has made a 7-day trip because the Spanish tourism, they have spent a huge money for creating that festival of Spain, and that was specially created when Abhay Deol and Hrithik Roshan and my third friend, all of them, and that movie was there, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Now, on a very happy note, I want to leave with all of you. There is a sequel of that movie coming now. And that is coming with the 3 ladies are going on a trip now. It's a Priyanka Chopra, it's a Katrina Kaif, and it is Alia Bhatt. And that movie is going to be supported by the Spanish tourism. And that is going to be the film-induced tourism. And that's going to be the women empowerment. And that's going to be the women as a solo travelers. And they want to take a world trip and they want to travel. Don't forget, that movie is in the making. It will be coming shortly. And our chamber works a lot when we talk about film tourism, cinematic tourism, entertainment tourism, film-induced tourism. So, ladies and gentlemen, both the ladies have given us such a valuable inputs to all of us this evening. I'm so grateful to both of them. I'm grateful to Colonel Casey Mannon. It was such a pleasure to have both of them. And I'm pretty sure that you all will carry wonderful memories. Tourism. Tourism is the only passport to global peace. There is no other way you can bring the world peace. When the people travel to different destinations, different countries, different continents, and different places, they carry good message and they can bring a lot of human interaction, human touch, and human harmonious kind of ecosystem. When I talk about ecosystem, I think about ecotourism 1988. That was the rainforest when we had gone to Costa Rica, Venezuela with Dr. Donald Hawkins. George Washington University was the first in 1988 to go to the Ecuador and Costa Rica, the rainforest and Latin America. And that was a beautiful trip which we took over there. Tourism is something amazing. Tourism is happening. Women, because you are polite, you are decent, you are courteous, you are the maker. The world is because of you. The world is existing because of women. You all are the one who bring the power, the energy, and whatsoever we think about the multiplier effect to the whole universe, it's a women empowerment. And I'm grateful to both the ladies this evening for having spared their most valuable time and to be with us over here this evening. Tourism is calling, tourism is awaiting. And now when we are talking about domestic tourism, today is what date? Today is 22nd. I think it's 22nd in India, right?
Yeah.
If it's 22nd in India, you've got only 3 days to go. 26th of November, IRCTC for the first time is organizing a special train from Delhi, Safdarjung railway station, 14 nights and 15 days trip, 5 beautiful states of northeast part of India. Come, enjoy India. Domestic tourism is beautiful. Honorable Prime Minister has already made a call that during this pandemic, right up to December 2022, all of us, we should travel at least 15 places within India. And I'm pretty sure women are going to bring that empowerment. They are going to decide where to travel, when to travel, how much to travel. And that's the way the change is going to be. All of us, let's enjoy the wonderful evening in India. And thank you very much to everybody. Thanks for joining. And it was a wonderful, wonderful views from all our audience. You have been so wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I can't read out all the names, but I have been just texting only because a lot of queries were coming from the world over. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And my deepest regards, gratitudes, and thanks as the elder brother to Bhavani ma'am and Madam Ray. Both of you stay fit, stay fine, stay healthy, and keep promoting tourism the best possible way. Let's explore and let's rethink and repackage, refurbish, whatever you want to give it. The tourism, tourism, tourism. Think tourism, dream tourism, eat tourism, sleep tourism, get up tourism.